I wanted to be an astronaut.
Science!
It's poetry in motion. She turned her tender eyes to me as deep as any ocean.
In fact, it's almost hard-pressed to tell whether you're in space or not in this picture. You know, we've got some fancy backdrops, I guess. Pictures of all your crewmates, and they look perfectly normal to you. But when a picture like this gets down on Earth, you get instructed to take a picture like this. And astronauts are really, really good at making pictures in space that look like you've never left the planet.
Saying that we've got a toilet that you use, and then a machine that goes chugga 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 chug, and then you go to the galley and you make yourself a cup of coffee.
As sweet as any harmony. Oh, she blinded me with science.
I want to do some physics demonstrations that involve some of the things you might see in the Angry Birds game. And of course, I've got my Angry Bird here, but we need a pig. Well, I'm not very good at art.
Be an astronaut.
It's a good thing I decided to be a scientist and an engineer instead of an artist, because I'd probably be starving by now.
Angry Bird. An Angry Bird had some eggs. And Pig stole the eggs.
Science!
If you like doing yo-yos,
Their eggs stolen by Pig. This is all that's left of Pig after Pig got exploded.
As sweet as any harmony. Oh, she blinded me with science.
She blinded me with science.
Blinded me with science.
and so it just bounces off the string, and it's kind of like the tether technology we use for satellites and things. I get to name these yo-yo tricks as I invent them. So I call this shoot the planets. Like physics, guess what? It helps you get a good job. And then, of course, when you have a good job, you can afford to buy these fancy yo-yos, and you can use your spare time then to do even more work with your yo-yos. I wanted to be an astronaut.
So here we go. Let's see if we can do it again. So orbit the Earth, orbit the moon again. There's a tether assist. Okay, tether assist. Shoot the planets and come back.
I can't find anything. All my tubes and wires and careful notes and antiquated notions. But
Go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again. But going to Mars is important, and because it's hard to justify on any single thing. Of the 17th century, they're the ones that had the highest standard of living. They're the ones that advanced the art and the sciences, and their societies flourished. And you can't say, well, it's because they did oceanic exploration, but it's part of the exploration. So we're the ones that basically wrote the history of that era of time. Your country that dies, exploration as a metric. You saw this 100 years ago when the Arctic and Antarctic were starting to be explored. What explorers do is they go off someplace, they come back, and they tell stories. What spread their experience to those who didn't have the good fortune to go. And on station we have limited time and limited bandwidth, and we have help from people on the ground that will take information that we give them, and they in turn will help get it out through the appropriate channels.
because the technology associated with it is not necessarily straightforward. And I thought I could make it like a gardening instruction manual, which maybe 5 people might be interested in reading. Or then the idea came to me, well, why don't I animate it like a Jungle Book, one of Kipling's Jungle Books, where if tigers and lions can sit there and talk to each other, why can't a zucchini sit there and talk? And so I decided I would write the story of how you raise plants in space through the eyes of a zucchini. I wanted to be an astronaut. I should say the bit was set that it might be neat to be an astronaut. After that bit was set, I went to school, did technical stuff, engineering, science, and then when I was getting ready to graduate, all of a sudden I realized, hey, I'm qualified to become an astronaut, and there happened to be an astronaut selection at that point in time, so I put in an application. Or not, I'm an astronaut. I was just doing things that I like to do. I wanted to be an astronaut. School. That it occurred to me that I'm qualified and I could become an astronaut. School.
Doing things you're interested in, like?
Science experiments at home. What I like to do. School to relax. And when I was in high school, I did the same thing. On weekends, school. When I was in college, I would do the same thing. School, in terms of my schooling. School. I grew up in a small logging farming town in Oregon. School, not too far from Salem, in the middle of the Willamette Valley. And growing up in that environment, I was able to go off into the woods and go snorkeling in ponds and look at pond mud under a microscope and ask questions and get excited about school. Do what you can do, do what you can do in school.
After that, then we'll do both of the do what you want to do, 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 do what you want to do.
Advantage of being in a small town, it happened to have a really good
Blinded me with science.
Blinded me with science.
things to change from what you originally thought they might be. And I'll kind of sum it up by saying 6. It could have been possibly as short as 6 weeks, and our mission got extended to almost 6 months. Initially, we were to wear a pair of underwear and socks and a t-shirt for 3 days, and having no way to wash these aids in a weightless environment, then they're just discarded as rags to mop up stuff, and then finally discarded with a fiery deorbit. Our signal that says, hey, I think it's time to get a new pair of skivvies. And we did this voluntarily because it was necessary. In the day, we may like to stuff our belly full of all kinds of delectable things for dinner. But if you live in a situation where you can't do that, human beings can continue but if you live in a situation where you can't do that and flourish in spite of the lack of all of these pleasant things. And if this were not the case, I think human beings would be one more fossil layer eroding from some hillside in the plains of Ethiopia. But if you live in a situation where you can't do that, but if you live in a situation where you can't do